Over the last 4 years, President Biden created a crisis at our southern border, presiding over an invasion of illegal immigrants from all across the world, including adversarial nations. Against the best interests of the American people and our national security, my colleagues across the aisle would like to allow these individuals who are in our country illegally to vote in our elections. We've seen instances of illegal aliens being issued Social Security numbers by the Biden administration and voting in the last election. In fact, in my home state, a study found that roughly 1,400 individuals had questionable illegal status or immigration status, and likely illegals who were registered to vote in my own state. My colleagues will be dishonest to you and say that that did not happen. They will say that we need to, I will tell you this, we need to open our eyes to the reality of this border invasion. The reality is right now we have a system where folks who are here illegally can vote. That is simply wrong. And that's why we need to pass this week the SAVE Act. It is a common sense measure that will ensure that states are required to verify citizenship when folks register to vote in a federal election. This is the bare minimum to secure that our elections are protected from foreign influence. Again, you'll hear dishonest statements from opponents of this bill, like married women who have changed their name won't be able to vote. That is simply not true. Look, when someone gets married, look at their driver's license. Did the driver's license number change? Did a passport number change? No, that simply isn't accurate. Additionally, this bill allows up to 6 different forms of identification to verify citizenship. Look, in North Carolina, we have voter ID where folks show up and vote, and folks may have gotten married in between when they register to vote, when they go to vote, and nobody's being turned away. Again, just another misinformation from the left. One other thing the SAVE Act does is that it requires states to clean up their voter rolls to remove non-citizens. Again, this is pretty straightforward, common sense stuff. Governor Greg Abbott in Texas, in fact, removed thousands of citizens from their voter rolls, and every state should be doing this. You know, at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, only American citizens should vote in American elections. If we don't pass the SAVE Act, we're signaling to the world that American elections are open to fraud and foreign interference. It is, in fact, a betrayal to every citizen who plays by the rules, pays their taxes, and deserves a voice in their government. Election integrity starts with the passing of the SAVE Act. Another bill this week I mentioned earlier that's a great bill that I'm supporting is the No Rogue Rulings Act, which will put an end to the overreach of district court judges in issuing nationwide injunctions. As an attorney, I'm just shocked and just by the blatant abuse of power that some of these radical activist judges are taking to block the lawful exercise of executive power. President Trump was overwhelmingly and duly elected by the American people to put our country back on the right track. In just the first few months of his term, President Trump has faced more than 16 nationwide injunctions. That's more than Biden, Obama, and Bush had during the entirety of their terms. It is clear that these judges, time and time again, have encroached on the statutory authority of the president. Americans are outraged that D.C. District Court Judge James Boasberg told the Trump administration to turn a plane around that was full of heinous criminals, dangerous gang members who were in the U.S. illegally, and bring them back to American soil. Judges should not have the power to set nationwide policy and rip President Trump's constitutional powers away from him. Article 2, Sections 1 and 3 of the Constitution vest the executive power in the president and charge the president with faithfully executing the laws of the United States. However, activist judges want to replace the will of the voters with their personal politics. My friends, that is not how our system is supposed to work, and it undermines our democratic process. What we're seeing, in fact, is judicial tyranny. The No Rogue Rulings Act restores balance. It ensures that legal challenges are resolved properly and not through backdoor activism and overreaching judicial actions. Mr. Speaker, the American people are tired of unelected judges wielding unchecked power. Let's pass the No Rogue Rulings Act and restore the integrity of our judicial system. I yield back.